Your shop floor isn't broken, but it's likely outdated and not sustainable for growth and scale. If you're still relying on paper reports and tribal knowledge, you're losing money, time, as well as your future workforce. So if you're in the print and packaging, metal rolls, plastics, cable and wire industries, you're going to want to tune in today as we talk about the modernization of the shop floor. Let's start the countdown. Welcome to our LinkedIn Live. This is the Delaware North America LinkedIn Live series. This is a series centered all around the shop floor revolutions. And my name is Fanny Dunnigan. I'm going to be hosting this live show. We are coming to you live on LinkedIn as well as YouTube from Delaware, North America. And thank you to those that are joining us live on these platforms. Be sure to introduce yourself in the comments of the feed, as well as to let us know where you're tuning in from. We love connecting with new people in the network, so please do that in the comments below where you're tuning in from, as well as a brief introduction of who you are. And feel free to comment. Throughout this live show, we're going to be featuring our guests here, and feel free to let us know any questions you have for them as well. So without further ado, I want to introduce you guys to our mill products experts here at Delaware North America. I'm going to start off with John Gretter. He is our managing director of mill products at Delaware, and he has over a decade of SAP experience assisting our customers to successfully implement SAP projects. Welcome, Gretter. How are you?
I'm great, Fanny. Thank you for the introduction and the expert label there.
You like that?
That's
Next time I'll say guru.
yeah. Oh man, they're coming at us from all directions. But yeah, really excited to join you today and do the second installment of our LinkedIn Live series.
Absolutely. And then over here, we have our other expert, another John Rossiter. He is the solution engineer at Delaware, and he has deep expertise with manufacturing execution system and MES solutions, as well as shop floor processes. And he's been in consulting for over 25 years across a variety of manufacturing industries. Welcome, Rossiter. How are you?
I'm doing well, Fanny. Thanks once again for leading on to how long I've been doing this. I appreciate that.
Show those those white hairs, right? That's the wisdom. For those of you that are tuning in for the first time, as John mentioned, this is part 2 of our series here. If you missed part 1, we kind of talked a bit about where shop floor processes are in the current state. So we'll provide a link to that part 1 in the comments of the feed later, but be sure to tune into the replay of that. But today we're going to talk all around the modernization of the shop floor and what's possible, and for us to imagine that future with a modern shop floor. But I want to start first, before we get into all the questions, to share with you an exciting event that we're going to be at. If you are in SAP, you'll definitely have heard of Sapphire Conference that is put on by SAP. Delaware has been invited to be one of the few premier sponsors at the event. So please save the date. It's going to be in Orlando again, May 19th to the 21st, and Delaware has a booth there. Delaware's booth is booth number 300. So right immediately when you kind of come down the escalators, we will be in booth 300. So it's an opportunity for everyone to stop by the booth. Sapphire customers, SAP customers, as well as partners and vendors. And it's a great chance for you to meet with our experts like these Johns here, as well as from our other industries like energy and utilities, aerospace and defense, and across a whole variety of industries. And there'll be demos as well as meetings that can be set up. And we have a link for that as well to our website. So we'll be sharing that as well. Okay, let's talk all things shop floor.
And Fanny, I will jump in real
Yes,
quick on Sapphire for any of
please.
our viewers that are joining us today that are going to be at Sapphire and would like to schedule time with John Rossiter and I. We're actually scheduling meetings right now. I know it's crazy. We're still a little bit over a month out, but we are
They
scheduling
fill up
meetings
quick.
for, yeah, they do. It's exciting and we're happy to do it. But at the end of today's installment, you'll have a QR code where you can reach out to us directly. Please do so if you would like to set up a 30-minute meeting, an hour-long meeting, an in-booth demonstration of DM for Mill by Delaware, where we'll have that running with our model factory. Reach out to us and we'll be happy to schedule that time and make sure you get that personalized attention to get more of your questions answered and find out how partnering with Delaware can bring DM for Mill into your ecosystem.
100%. Yeah. Well, so before we kind of get into this modernization of the shop floor, let's kind of revisit where are we now? Where are, manufacturers right now? What's going on? And Grutter, I want to start with you. Can you kind of reiterate for our audience here, what are the common challenges that shop floors are experiencing right now?
Yeah, absolutely, Fanny. And this will be a nice way to tie in what we discussed in episode 1 and then prime episode 2 for John Rossiter and what he's going to share. So going back to what we have talked about previously, SAP has a wonderful MES solution that is referred to and named digital manufacturing, or DM is what you'll hear John and I refer to it as throughout today's LinkedIn Live episode. What we've done with SAP is we've taken that platform, that digital manufacturing platform, and we have built our solution that goes hand in glove with DM to address the white space or the gaps that customers have come to SAP and said, hey, we love DM, but for it really to work out of the box for us, these things need to be addressed. And because Delaware has built a reputation in mill products and in the MES space as building our own MES previously for mill products about 25 years ago, SAP came to us and said, Delaware, we'd love to partner with you, do a formal co-innovation agreement, have you all build the extension of DM that is called DM for Mill by Delaware, that addresses those unique challenges that our mill products customers, and you said it earlier too, Fanny, it's that paper, plastic, metals, wire and cable, building products is another one that we have a lot of exposure in the mill products vertical. And what our solution addresses are those unique challenges around combining of orders, the enhanced traceability that is needed, building out the necessary cockpits for the shop floor operators to make the solution easier to use. And I said this in the first episode, we almost gloss over this too much, is that user interface on the shop floor. But that's one of the hidden gems of DM for Mill by Delaware, is it makes it so much easier for the shop floor to use the solution. And we know when it's easy to use, they'll use it even more and be more excited about the functionality and the increased efficiency that it brings to the users. So there's a lot of other really neat features and functions that we're solving for. I don't want to steal John's thunder as he gets into those features and functionality later, but DM for Mill by Delaware, it just builds on the excellent solution that SAP has brought to their customers over the past few years.
Yeah, thank you, John. For Rossiter, I mean, sometimes organizations aren't ready for the change yet, right? They want to kind of stick with what they know. Sometimes that's more comfortable to stick with what you know rather than try something new, right? What are the implications, Rossiter, if organizations or shop floors continue down that kind of manual path or some of the more legacy kind of systems, if they stick with that and don't change, what are the implications?
Yeah, there's that old saying that everybody hates change, but change is inevitable as things come down the pipe. The big change with the shop floor and what's happening, and one of the reasons why this series is called, the revolution on the shop floor, is it's about the digitization of the shop floor. So the things that we're seeing and we're seeing commonplace across the industry is manual processes. We've mentioned it today in this episode. Excel spreadsheets, forms, manual processes, tribal knowledge that's sitting there. But everybody also wants to talk about the hot things that are out there: AI, machine learning. Well, the shop floor is a foundational data layer that needs to be mined to make those emerging technologies work. So an MES solution allows folks to bring that data to bear, to capture that data in process as it's happening. So if folks don't change what they're doing, they're going to get behind their competitors because they are changing what they're doing. They're going to be slower to react to market changes that are there. They're going to have problems in today's modern working world where the new employees coming in are expecting more of a technologically advanced shop floor, and they can do things digitally. And they're going to lose out on some quality workers because they're still doing things manually. And that's what we'll bring to the table with SAP's digital manufacturing, as well as DM for Mill by Delaware.
Yeah, 100%. I heard people say these days, especially in this AI world, right? Data is the new oil and data is the new currency. So if data is still stuck on an Excel sheet, there's no way to kind of take it to that next level of AI and modernization
Correct.
and dashboards. Yeah, for sure. Greta, for you, right? I know we have a great diagram that kind of encapsulates DM for Mill. So walk us through this overview of DM for Mill and this collaboration that's we have with between SAP and Delaware.
Yeah, and it really comes down to what I had touched on just a few moments ago, Fanny. It's the traceability is one of the unique challenges that the mill products customers have. They traceability in the raw form, knowing what's coming in one end and what's coming out the other end of the factory isn't enough for a mill products producer. Usually they need to have enhanced traceability. So you think of these huge rolls coming in and then they get slit down into smaller rolls. They need to know from which cut down or slit roll the product comes from, what dyes are being used, what chemicals are being used. All of those control metrics need to come into it for a variety of different reasons. A lot of our customers have FDA compliance issues that they need the enhanced traceability for. A lot of our customers in the building products industries that may make flooring, they need to know exactly what dye lots are being used to produce that flooring. So if they have to run it again a year or two down the road, if the customer needs more of it, they know that recipe or those secret ingredients that made exactly that output, so they don't have to guess at it. So that traceability is super key. A couple of other things that I touched on: the combining of orders. The combining of orders is really where you start to see the ROI from DM for Mill shine through. It's that ability to take that order, and you might have the same order for another customer or multiple other customers. So instead of just running that singular order through and then moments later you're going to run it again, but it's for a different customer, let's combine all of that and increase our efficiency, run that production cycle, and then coming out of that production cycle, break it back out through the system so it goes to the correct customer. DM for Mill by Delaware enables all of that. So something that it was never solved for before, or very, very difficult to solve for in the past through custom coding, Delaware takes care of that for the customer and the environment. And that's something else that we talk about: less to almost no custom development. You hear this all the time in SAP forums. stick as close to standard on the solution as you possibly can, and then look for pre-packaged solutions that solve for your gaps or solve for your white space, and leave as little amount of customization as humanly possible. That is, and we subscribe to that logic very much at Delaware, and that's why we've built so many of these enablers. DM for Mill by Delaware just happens to be our latest and we feel our greatest development that we've had with SAP. But you said that this diagram speaks to the biggest items that we developed and are developing for DM and DM for Mill by Delaware. But there are a lot of other functionalities under the surface as well that customers will benefit from. And keep in mind, as we develop all of this, and I know we're going to get to this in a few moments as well, Fanny, we're working with customers to develop for specific industry subsets. And again, I don't want to get too far ahead of myself.
That was actually my next question.
That's where we go with all of this. We're not doing this by happenstance. You know, we call it customer circle. I know we'll talk about that in just a few more minutes.
No, it was a perfect tee up, John, because that's the thing, right? We did not do this in isolation.
Correct.
Walk us through, you call it a customer circle initiative, right? Walk us through what that is.
So when we talked about those highlighted industries that are really the sub verticals of mill products, and a lot of our viewers may be wondering, well, what in the heck is mill products? It really boils down to the sub verticals, and that's the paper packaging companies, the thin film or plastic, metals, wire and cable, building products, those types of sub verticals. We are partnering with customers in each of those sub verticals to gather their requirements, what they're looking for in a next generation MES system, which DM is well suited to be, and that we can pre-develop into DM for Mill by Delaware. You know, they know it's very easy for them to say to us, this is what we don't like about what we currently are running, or some of our customers aren't running anything, and these are the problems we need to solve for. So we really come at it through two different lenses. These are things that we know we don't like. These are things that we know we need or have to have. And we're pre-developing those into DM for Mill by Delaware. So why that's important for our viewers and for the customers by and large in this space, again, we talk about narrowing that gap and that need for custom code or customization in your project. Because we're solving for so much of this up front, this product is really robust and is very, very centric to those mill products customers in the paper, the plastic, the metals, the cable, building products industries, and it is ready to go. And I mean, John and I, as we talk to customers all the time now, because now that this product is live and it's ready to be deployed in the marketplace, we will run into this often where we are finding that DM for Mill by Delaware out of the box is in the neighborhood of 85 to 90% fit for the customer's needs. So you talk about short delivery or project times, which gets you to return on investment really, really quickly. That's what DM for Mill by Delaware does with the combination of SAP's digital manufacturing or DM solution.
And that's what I think has always been a differentiator for Delaware is this industry knowledge, right? Because so close to customers, consultants that have that industry knowledge. So everything's already built in that fits with that industry.
It's really a Delaware difference. I mean, it's something that we do by vertical. And when we go into a vertical from a planning perspective, we get really, really sticky in that vertical from a subject matter expertise and also a product standpoint. We build products that solve for the industry problems that we hear about day in and day out in the projects that we're doing. And then we deploy all of those products, like you said, Fanny, with really, really top-notch subject matter experts.
Well, one of the things that's, speaking of industry, one of the very cool things that we'll be bringing to Sapphire, but what we want to give you a preview to is something we call the Model Factory. And this is something that I'm going to let John Rossiter talk about. What is the Model Factory? And then have you tee it up, John. And then from there, we'll show a quick video of what it looks like. So Rossiter, tell people what this Model Factory is.
Yeah, the model factories basically it's a small footprint, uh, just example of what a factory would be. It has multiple work centers, it has processes that can be done within it, but we've connected this particular factory up to SAP's digital manufacturing and DM for Mill. So we can walk through the processes live on the show floor at Sapphire.
Awesome. Okay, let's roll that video now.
Hi, I'm Myron. I'm the lead consultant for SAP Digital Manufacturing at Delaware, Germany.
Hi, Donovan, lead consultant, machine connectivity in Delaware, Belgium. So we're standing here in front of our Delaware Smart Factory. What we have in front of us is an end-to-end process of a real factory. So we have on the one side, we have inbound, where the raw materials are then being delivered by truck. First step is that we identify which type of raw material we have. So it's typically your NFC scanner or your barcode reader. Next step is that the vacuum gripper will pick up the raw material and will put that in our automated warehouse. So in here we have the automated warehouse where we know what items are stored in there in terms of traceability. Next step, whenever we release a production order, it's being picked up from the warehouse and it's being delivered to the inline processing station. Typically, we're doing the laminating there and stuff like that. Next up, whenever the laminating is done, we'll move to the cutting area, and there for this area, we do typically the cutting or the slitting before it's then being passed to the quality inspection zone. So there we have a Vision ML model checking the quality of the produced goods. Afterwards, whenever the quality is of the desired quality, it will then be sorted, packaged before it will be shipped out to the outbound area.
That thing is so cool. As a Lego enthusiast, I feel like that's like Lego on steroids. But we have a question from the audience, and it's a great question. Either of you, if you can answer it, can DM be used for other industries? Obviously, you guys are in mill products and specialize in that. But what about other industries like aerospace and defense and any other kind of manufacturing kind of settings?
Yeah, absolutely, Fanny. I mean, SAP's digital manufacturing solution is a wonderful fit for, I mean, basically any manufacturing system or ecosystem environment that there is out there. When we built this with SAP for the mill products industry, it is truly because there are some industry specific requirements that those milling sub verticals have that a lot of other manufacturing instances don't. So that combined with our expertise from a mill product standpoint made us a perfect partner for SAP to focus on mill products. But yeah, if you're an aerospace and defense company, if you're an automotive company, utilities company, the list goes on. Life sciences, these are all areas that Delaware has a wealth of expertise in and would love to have a conversation around what digital manufacturing can do for them. John, I don't know if there's anything else you'd like to add on to that, but from DM for Mill by Delaware is what we focus on here, but DM from SAP, absolutely applicable for a wealth of different industries.
No, think you covered it, John.
Awesome. Well, let's get tactical.
That's my contribution for the day.
See you later, Greta.
I'll leave everything else to you, Rossi.
Yeah. No, I mean, for
Done.
me, I always understand things better when I can see practical use of it, right? And so let's get into some use cases, right? Rossiter, I think you brought us something here. Can you walk us through some of the use cases for DM for Mill?
Yeah, sure. There are two things that we'll kind of go through in this. And the first, we've talked about it a little bit during this episode. Let's talk about the combination of orders. Now, when we're talking about combining orders, it's not necessarily putting things, in tangent one behind the other. This could be something put side by side. So let's take, for example, a company that makes packaging for the food industry. We all go to the vending machines and love potato chip bags. So let's talk about it from that angle. From an SAP perspective, sales orders are entered. Those sales orders are turned into production orders. And what we're doing inside of our mill product solution is merging production orders into a single mill order where the specifications fit. So if I'm making a plain potato chip bag for one company and a barbecue potato chip bag for another company, they're using the same materials. The only thing that may be a little bit different is obviously the printing that's on it. So by doing this, we can merge those two things together so that when they get released to the shop floor, because it's using the same raw materials and going through this lamination process of creating this bag, I'm actually utilizing the efficiency of setting up that machine one time. I'm putting the printing rollers on it one time. I'm running the inks through it one time. And I can run these things, like I said, for a combination of orders, we can run them back to back to drive efficiency and keep that machine running as long as possible. Or in this case, we can run them side by side. Now, that particular process in this would produce a bunch of rolls coming off of it. And if we follow that process around and go to a slitting process, I can take one of those rolls and start cutting it down and understand the position of everything that's happening so that I can take the individual rolls as need be and put them in their handling units or pack them out on pallets to go to the customers. So it's that ability to drive that combination of an order, but still get to, I need to send pallet number 1 to customer 1, and I need to send pallet 2 to customer 2. But all that can be handled in one straight path. And if you think about that from that example, the other thing we've talked about is traceability. So let's walk backwards through this and understand what we're talking about when we start talking about traceability. I could go onto one of those pallets, like pallet 100 that's sitting there, and grab one of the rolls and realize, okay, this is roll 11C. I know exactly where this roll was in the production process. I know that this might be the far left side of the slitter as it came through, and I know that it belonged to, when it was still together, it actually belonged to roll 1121-1. And I can trace that back to understand the raw materials that made it up. So there's everybody's gone to the vending machine. You open up that potato chip bag, there's a nice silver lining on the inside. There's good, graphics on the outside. Well, that's multiple layers being pushed together and laminated to make that bag. And I can trace it back to each of those raw materials and the rolls of those materials that are there. And I can take that back and go, okay, that came from this particular mill order, these production orders, that sales order. But enhanced traceability takes it one step further than this, because this is the path of that material, that order from the order to finished product, but there's all sorts of other data that's sitting there. And advanced traceability gives us that capability to track direct labor, indirect labor, movement of that material throughout the manufacturing process, the quality checks that are happening in line as that product is being produced, all of the materials that are there, everything about it. It could be something as simple as, sensors on the systems that are telling me temperature, humidity, time, the machines themselves, which ones were used, what tooling was used. Who was the actual operator that ran the lamination process? All of that gets wrapped up so that if there is something that happens that needs to be looked at, a recall happens. We've all seen in the news,
Yeah.
recently with, listeria or salmonella and these things,
Right.
food pack.
Anything food related, right? Yeah.
And what you don't want to have happen from a manufacturer is I don't want to have to go pull every single thing off of the shelves. If I can narrow down the scope of what I need to recall, I can save the organization millions of dollars by limiting that scope. And advanced traceability gives us that capability to start narrowing down where those problems happened and identify those products that went out that would be something that potentially would be need to be recalled. It also comes into play if you're talking about some sort of regulatory compliance, and you have to, in the food industry, they have to prove that certain things happened in a certain way and provide reports going out to their customers when they're building the packaging of certain things being done. This traceability gives us an easy way to just ship that with the goods as they go out the door.
Wow. Incredible. And thank you, John. I mean, that's so clear. It's such a great visual representation. And then in a way, you always say to us, kind of like from the shop floor to the top floor, right? You can really just see that whole process. And then from there, the reports and the dashboards that can be used to track everything, right?
And you think about this as where it sits in the system right now, and we've talked about it, and everybody in manufacturing that's out there that's watching this and listening has seen it. There's a lot of manual processes.
Yeah.
If we can take this data and make it digital and make it readily available, now we're starting to jump that digital divide, that chasm that sits between the shop floor and the top floor, and bring that data to bear. Now I can make informed decisions about what's happening because I've got the data to support it.
Yeah. Data, the new oil.
It is.
Data, the new gold. Right. Well, thank you for that. I do want to give a chance for anybody to drop their questions into the feed. While you do that, let us know any comment or questions you have. But I do want to remind everyone that we will be at Sapphire May 19th to the 21st. So be sure to drop by booth 300. Easy to remember, booth 300. And you can get demos as well as see that model factory and talk to our experts further.
Yeah, come see DM and DM for Mill at work.
Absolutely. I love it. It's such a cool demonstration there. Another question we've got here is, can data easily be shared between SAP ERP and DM for Mill by Delaware?
Yeah, that's the beauty of this situation and how we're hooked in with SAP's digital manufacturing as our foundation for DM for Mill by Delaware. It is natively able to connect back to core SAP. So the sharing of that data and the jumping that chasm that's there now of providing that data is simple.
Yeah.
And to add on to that, it integrates seamlessly with S4 and ECC. So that really important to the viewers. You don't have to be on S4 in order to implement DM and DM for Mill by Delaware. If you're still on ECC and plan to be on ECC, we can integrate without any issues.
There's another question here. I mean, that's the buzzword, right? AI. With all this in place, then are there opportunities for AI on the shop floor?
There definitely are, and you've got to look at what we're capturing, the data we're capturing with DM and DM for Mill becomes that foundational data that allows AI to work. So if you want to start turning an AI engine loose on doing pattern recognition for preventative maintenance, well, where do you get the data to support that? It's off the shop floor. And that's what DM and DM for Mill is capturing, is all that data on the shop floor. So bringing that to bear gives you the capability of taking advantage of all these new emerging technologies that are out there.
Right.
And to think about the opportunity for AI on the shop floor, DM is that foundation that you've heard John talk about. Without DM, without that MES layer, those add-on opportunities like AI are not there. So you have to build that foundation with that solid MES layer, which is DM and DM for mill by Delaware in the mill product space. Then you can start going on higher and higher and higher with other things like AI.
Well, for those of you out there that have further questions or want to talk to our two Johns here, we're going to flash up some QR codes for you so that you can scan that and connect with these folks. For John Gretter, that's his QR code there. So be sure to connect with John Gretter on LinkedIn. And then for John Rossiter, we'll flash up his QR code. Please connect with John Rossiter on LinkedIn as well.
And Fanny, I appreciate you putting mine directly over John Creditor. That's excellent.
Yep. Like a band-aid right
You
over
like
my
that?
face
You like
right
that?
there. Awesome.
Let's
Yep.
see. There we go. There you go.
Fantastic.
Now we're even bigger. And then finally, if you want to learn more on our webpage, please scan that QR code or go to delawareconsulting.com and then head to the page for DM for Mill. So for all of you out there, thank you so much for tuning in today. We so appreciate your time with us and learning about the modernization of the shop floor. The next time you'll see us coming live will be from the Sapphire floor. And if we can get the logistics worked out, maybe we can give you some behind the scenes tour of the booth in Sapphire as well. But that's when we'll really dive into some demos and other tactical things that we can share with you around DM for Mill. So thank you, John Rossiter. Thank you, John Gretter, for your time. Thank you to all of you out there for tuning in. And we'll see you next time at Sapphire. And as we roll out, thank you guys. And as we roll out, we want to play for you this overview of Delaware video, so you can get a view of who we are and what we are about. See you next time.
Thanks.